Roman Wilson out of Michigan, 6 foot, 192 pounds, absolutely lit up the Senior Bowl. Felt like it was all everybody talks about for 2 days. I've got some serious concerns. Are you a Wilson fan?
Yeah, I'm a little bit like yourself, Rich. I think I do have my concerns. Definitely somebody, as I mentioned, I kind of like these speedsters that maybe people overlook that think don't quite have the elite ceiling to the games. But I think Wilson definitely has some flashes where you see a bit of brilliance, but I do think there's obviously concerns with that as well. As you mentioned, he's got that elite speed, the explosiveness. I don't think there's any arguing against what he offers in that side of his game. Tough as well, really good in contested catch situations, despite the fact that he's not one of the biggest wide receivers out there. But I think he can definitely show himself as a great contested catch wide receiver. The route running is interesting because I think he's actually a pretty good route runner, but the actual the route tree that he has is more my concern because we know he's played for Michigan and we all know what that offense is like. That's definitely a run first offense. So you kind of look at the stats and you're not really blown away by it because you don't see those high numbers in terms of the receiving yards that he's had in his college career. But then when you look at the amount of yards per receptions he's got, it's actually up there with some of the best. So I think a lot of it was down to playing on this Michigan offense. Obviously, we know Jim Harbaugh now going over to the NFL, and we're kind of already picking up on that the LA Chargers might be reverting more to that run-heavy scheme that we know he's had great success with in college football. But I think Ron Wilson is kind of being that hidden gem. And as you mentioned at the Senior Bowl, lit it up. And I think we got that glimpse of what can be if he does get an expanded role moving forward and when he steps into the NFL. I think, again, because of his size, I think he is maybe going to be more of a slot wide receiver, but he's proven that he can do it on in the slot and outside as well. So definitely somebody that's versatile. I think personally will probably fit in more as a slot wide receiver in the NFL, but as I say, I think he's got a little bit more to his game than maybe we give him credit for because he has been on this Michigan offense. I do think landing spot's going to play a big part for Roman Wilson. We just mentioned that he played for Jim Harbaugh. Could he go over to the LA Chargers? We know that they've kind of cleared house a little bit, so there's definitely an opening for him there if he did go over to the Chargers. I think that could be a great landing spot linking up with his college coach. So definitely something I'll be paying attention to. But as a whole, I do have my concerns, as we mentioned, the route tree. Is it good? We don't really know because we've yet to see it. And I think with that, it kind of could limit his ceiling, as you've got mentioned on that slide. But again, looking forward to see where he does land, the draft capital he gets, and does he link up with his former college coach? Hopefully, because I think that's probably going to be one of the best situations for Roman Wilson.
Yeah, I think for me, he's a solid low ceiling, low floor player, which is to me the kind of the worst player because I think he almost feels destined to be a somewhat of a roster clogger where he's too good to drop and you can never start him. Yes, he's got inside outside versatility. I think you pointed out he is a natural separator. He is good route runner. I think he's elite versus zone. Where I thought he separated was he's clearly got a high kind of football IQ, and I think he's very intelligent at understanding defensive schemes and where to settle down, and that lends itself to particularly playing well out of the slot. And I think that could be where he does end up in the NFL. But I have real concerns about. I don't know how much value add he's bringing to the position. He's going to be reliant on how much volume he's getting for the production. And I don't think he's a good enough route runner running a diverse enough type of routes that is going to be able to, he's not someone, I feel like I bang on this all the time. He's not like a Deontay Johnson that's going to command 120, 130 targets. Okay. He is going to be reliant on being schemed up, being a featured part of the offense. And how many 6 foot slot receivers are a featured part of the offense? There's not a huge amount. So that immediately for me has alarm bells going. I think it caps his ceiling. I think that I could see a world where he is fantasy relevant, but I think at the price you're probably going to have to pay, which I think is probably going to end up being a second round pick, there's guys that I think have got a higher floor in probably most of the running backs going in that range, or other guys at the receiver position that have got a higher ceiling that I would rather chase. So, yeah, solid, reliable. I kind of get why people like him, but for me, a player I'm probably going to end up avoiding.